Hey guys, it's Percolating, and today we are going to be touching a very, very, very big subject. One that has honestly plagued me for a while, and to an extent plagues a bit of the internet, if you ask me. I so let's not dilly-dally. First off, we are going to be playing a bit of Blade and Soul. This is my character in Blade and Soul. It's a little black guy, which I feel is very fitting. His little tiny blue afro, really cute, all that good shit. But we're gonna jump right into today's topic because it's not so cute and cuddly. Guys, let's talk about the whole PewDiePie situation. If you guys don't know, for some reason you weren't on YouTube for the little bit of time that it happened, PewDiePie was caught dropping nigger, like the word nigger, not nigga, not anything, but just straight up nigger. And I'll play the clip.
What a fucking nigger. Jeez, oh my god, what the fuck?
He just straight up dropped it on his live stream. And he apologized almost immediately, but the issue is how he said it so smoothly. He's obviously said it before. And the internet immediately took one of two sides. There's very few people who found any other place, but there's people who are saying, hey, you guys are being too sensitive, and other people who are saying, what the fuck is wrong with you, Felix? And there's a couple people who are just like, don't be so sensitive, but hey, I'm not sure if you guys know, but hi, I'm Percolating, I'm black. My name's Dalen, I'm a black dude, black bisexual male in Florida. I feel like we've been over this a couple times, but so, of course, I immediately said, how do I feel about this? And realize I'm not going to get into the semantics of whether or not nigga should be used, whether or not he should have used the word nigger. I feel like he's wrong for dropping it. I honestly feel like he's wrong. I'm sorry. Call me super sensitive. Call me not. I don't like the fact that he just dropped it like that. I really don't. It wasn't comedy. It wasn't enhancing. And it was really just an awful use of the word. There are really two big words that always cause an issue with me as an entertainer. It's nigger and faggot. Those are two that always will fuck with me. And I'm not gonna get too far from my intro I'm not gonna get too far from my intro because it'll come back around. But just keep that in mind. So Felix dropped it on a live stream, and people immediately took one of two sides. I've already explained the two sides. Now the issue is I'm not sure where I stand. And that's going to sound really weird to a lot of people. It's going to sound absolutely crazy. I should know whether I don't or do like the word. But to me, it's more than that. I have such an issue with things like this because words are powerful tools. Words are very powerful tools. People say, oh, it's just a word, get over it. No, that's not true. Words shape things. Like, I'm not sure if you completely get what I'm saying here, but words can shape people's entire mentalities on things. I am the way I am today because of a lot of things that happened to me when I was younger, including words spat in my direction, actions taken against me, and the reaction of the world. That's really what made me the person I am today. And I feel like I say that a lot, but that's what makes what somebody is. It's not like words don't do anything. Words played a big part in how I perceive a lot of things in the world today. Words teach. Words have a lot of power. Which is why I like to claim myself to be a very good wordsmith. Not someone who knows, not someone who... The reason I stutter as much as I do when I talk is because I'm very careful about which words I use and which order and how I say it and the inflection. I am very much a wordsmith in that sense. I like to use my words for positivity for the most part, but comedy is also partial negativity or bringing attention to negativity in a positive way. And that's why I like entertainment and comedy so much, because you can use things like words and atmosphere and inflection to give somebody else an idea of your thought process. And that's why I use my words the way I do. That's why real talks are one of the things that I do on my channels, because words are a thing that can, if you listen to someone's words, you can understand more about that person, what they've been through, where they come from, and their thought process. It's supposed to be, it's a good discussion. I always appreciate when Scott drops a comment down in the beginning, which, by the way, shout out to Scott, because he wanted to hear this. I was thinking of just skipping over this real talk possibly, but he really wanted to hear what I had to say. So, you know, shouts out. But words do have power. Words aren't just words. Words do have power in what they do and what they can tell people. And that's where I come into the issue of certain words should or should not be used. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying censorship should be a thing. I'm not saying you should censor people if they're saying certain words. That's rude. I'm not saying that. If you want to be a rude asshole, you can't deny that some people are going to be rude assholes. But you also need to recognize, if you're going to use certain words to be a rude asshole, you can't then say afterwards, I'm not a rude asshole. I mean, you can, but that perception doesn't work. So here we start to come into the actual sense of the entire episode. Nigger. What is the basis of the word nigger? The basis of the word nigger is to enslave a people, is a word to talk about and enslave people who were brought across this ocean and sold as slaves with no rights whatsoever here in the United States. For those who aren't in the United States, hello, I'm in the United States. I know my history a little bit. I can't know my family history because, well, you know, those niggers didn't have any sort of documentation. They were just property that was sold. So, as you can tell, there is meaning to that word. Mr. Felix, there is meaning to that word that is very, very hurtful. And as much as you may say, oh, that was so long ago, it really wasn't. It wasn't even 200 years ago that we were being flogged for people's entertainment. Nowadays, it wasn't like it was 200 years ago. Like, it wasn't that long ago that we were still being enslaved. And then it's not even longer ago that we still were fighting. It's not even that long ago that we were still fighting to, you know, get the right to vote. And then again, it wasn't too long ago that we got just many of the rights that most people have today. And that the entire time they threw that word at us. They called us niggers. They called us niggers. And I know people make the distinction of A and ER, and I'll get to that at some point here, but right now I'm talking about the word Felix dropped was niggers. And that word had evil roots. And when I say evil, there was no positive about being a nigger. There was nothing positive about being a nigger. It was you don't exist, you are nothing to me. You mean nothing. Like, it was a point of, you don't do shit for me. You work for me. That is it. You don't have any other right. You shouldn't have any other right other than to be under me, under my shoe, as I am a white male better than you. It was white male at the time. That's where that word came from, and it's not a good point. It's not a good point for a word to come from. Now, let's talk about the fact that comedy pushes the limits. I understand comedy pushes limits. I am a very bad but a comedian. I'm not a very good comedian, but I like to say that I entertain. I'm an entertainer. I'm not a comedian. I'm an entertainer. I use my words and my stories and my thoughts, and I try to entertain people. That's what I like to do. It's what I enjoy. It's why I YouTube. It's why I do most of the things with such a flamboyancy that I do. It's because I like to entertain people. Now, Niggers. I'm sorry, I don't think there's any positive, entertaining way to use the word nigger. Unless you're going to go back and talk about the slave times and how they called us niggers, and how nigger was a word that that you're showing the negativity of such a word. I don't see much good in using the word nigger. Now, here's where I feel like there's differentiation between nigga and nigger. And it's going to sound like it's a very odd distinction, but it is. Niggas was popularized in entertainment, at least. It was popularized by Richard Pryor after a huge debacle after one of his first big headliner shows, where it was filmed and all that in 1970 something, I want to say. 1974, I want to say. There was entire bits where he's just talking about, now niggas and white people are different. Niggas do this, niggas do that, but white people do this and white people do that. Obviously funnier than what I'm just saying, but he used the word niggas the entire way through. And very few people were uncomfortable. Well, people were uncomfortable, don't get me wrong. People were uncomfortable, but they weren't uncomfortable in a sense that they couldn't laugh at it. It was entertaining. It was funny. So, you know what? It's good. He's all good. He's entertaining. The FCC didn't like it, and they censored the hell out of it. And there was an entire censorship case. I want to say in the end he ended up winning out, only he ended up winning out more or less. I don't remember all the semantics, and I apologize for it. If I can find it and I can put it in here without it being too awkward, I'll try to talk about it. But that's where nigga became popularized. Not nigger, but nigga, and that's the slight difference. We didn't want to be niggers. Niggers is a horrible thing that, honestly, the entirety of it was, hey, nigger, you're a nigger, you're nothing good, that's bad. It's like, don't be a nigger. It's not a good thing. I don't think I've found many comedy pieces to be funny that use nigger versus nigga, unless it's someone portraying a white person to be calling a black person a nigger in a comedic way. Like, there's a Donald Glover skit, and I'll play it on screen if I have it.
People always want to know who can say it and who can't. And it doesn't help me. It doesn't help anyone. I'm not going to get a job off of it or anything like that. It's like, oh, this dude is extremely qualified for this job, but this guy can say nigger whenever he wants.
But he's like, listen here, you nigger. It's like, it's not a good thing. He's talking about how it's not a good thing to be called a nigger. So, like, nigger is not entertaining. Nigga, on the other hand, can be. And it's a weird semantic. Don't get me wrong. I understand. It's a weird semantic. I don't think it should be such a weird thing, but it's a very weird disassociation. Niggers is the thing in the past that people should be trying to more or less forget. Like, not forget in a sense that, oh no, I don't remember ever having that word exist. But nigger but like, try to forget it as in, let's not promote Nazis. Let's not promote nigger, the use of the word nigger. Let's not promote that. It's a bad thing. You don't really joke around with nigger like you do with, like, you don't really joke around with, like, Nazis. It's like, or Nazism. Let me say that. Nazism, not Nazis. We can make fun of Nazis all day. But we don't like poke fun at the fact that someone could be a Naziist. You don't walk up to someone who's like, you fucking Nazi. You don't do that. So let's not walk up to someone and say, you fucking nigger. It's like, let's not use that word in that sense. It doesn't work. It's not funny. It's not entertaining. It doesn't add positivity to the world. It's not a good thing. And that's just me, of course, in your own usage. Now, here's another issue is that Felix let it roll off the tongue, meaning that he uses it in regular conversation. He uses it regularly off screen. Like, it's a normal thing for him to use the word nigger. It has to be. There's no way that you can just say nigger and it not roll off. Even me right now, I'm a black person. I say nigga all the time. And again, that's another point that I will talk about later on in this, but I say nigga semi-often. Nigger doesn't roll off the tongue. It doesn't. You can hear it the entire time. This entire thing is labeled with the word nigger. And I don't like using the word. I don't use it. It's not a natural word. It shouldn't be a natural word. That's coming from a black dude. It's not a good thing. Nigger is not a good word. It's not a good thing for people to use. So it's just not positive. And for someone like Felix who has 10 million plus people, you shouldn't be using it in that way. I'm sorry, like you're using it in your regular day to day or very often. Felix, if you aren't, tell me otherwise if for some reason you're watching this, which by the way, hello, how you doing? My name's Percolating. You know, give me a like or retweet or some shit. I don't fucking know. But no, it's like you shouldn't be like oh, the comedic break. You shouldn't be using it in regular conversation like that. It holds a lot of weight. And I'm not sure whether it's because you're Swedish and you don't know the association with that word. I don't believe it is because you've been around for a while. You have to know, right? Like, it's not a good word. It's not a word that holds good, positive vibes for someone like you. Even if you use like really bad comedy and being outlandish and whatnot, nigger is not something to be used in an entertaining way. It's just not. Now, what about white people saying nigga? Because that's obviously one of the next steps. It's like, well, can white people say nigga? And I have very few thoughts on. By the way, I just thought about it. There was an entire piece that Louis C.K. did on nigger, and of that one, of course, was again bringing negativity to the word. It wasn't positive. So again, but I just thought I'd bring it up because I did just think about that. But can white people say nigga? And I don't like it, but if they can be entertaining with it, I guess I don't really mind. And that's gonna be a not popular, but maybe popular opinion, because you can be entertaining with the word, but at the same time, as long as you're respecting it, I guess, is more or less what I say. And I still have the issue with make sure that you are disassociating it with nigger. Don't just walk up to any black person and be like, yo, what's good, nigga? Like, it's not funny. That's not funny. You're trying to find your way to use nigger without using the word nigger. And you're using nigga as if it's the same thing, and it's not. Now, black people using nigga, I personally don't like it. I would really like them to choose their words better. There's many other words that they can use. Bro, ham, bro. Like, there's so many. I use all sorts, fam. Like, all these other ones that you can use. I don't like that nigga is one of the first ones to be used. And when I say that, let me also say that I do this. I honestly do. On occasion, like, if a friend walks up to me like, what's good, my nigga? I'm like, what's good, my nigga? What's good, nigga? Like, what are we doing? What are we up to? I will say that. It's not unusual. It's not something like, wow, you say it? I will. It is a natural thing for me, and it's something that I've recently realized that I don't particularly do often, but I do it in context, which is, I feel, the biggest thing. I feel like nigga should be one of those things that you feel out, just like some other words. There are other words that you do need to feel out before you use it. Cunt is one of those words. If you say it in Australia, people don't give a dick. But if you say it here in the US, it's a little bit more touchy. It's like you call someone a cunt here in the US, they're like, yo, what did she do? It's obviously a stronger tiered word. Now, I'm not saying that all words have no meaning or all words have like ridiculous meaning. I'm saying that you should choose your words wisely, and that should be a thing that you should do at all points. And that, I feel, especially goes with some of the higher tier words. And some higher tier words you might not know are higher tier, but once you learn that, you should kind of learn to respect it and use it a little more respectfully. And there's no taking power away from the word nigger or nigga. I'm going to throw that shit out here right now. You're not taking power away from that word. You will not. Black people using nigga, it's an entertainment value that we finally were able to use against the word nigger. Like, we were called niggers for so long. We call ourselves niggas now along with each other. I don't like that. I don't like that idealism, but that's the consensus amongst most African Americans at the time. We use nigga as a term of endearment. Again, I don't like when people do that. I usually reference a song called Bitch Bad by Lupe Fiasco. I honestly suggest you go check it out. It's an older song, but it's a good song. And it's like, if you use the word bitch with two different people in two different situations, then they get two different radical views of the same word. The same phrase, bad bitch. And again, listen to the song because it makes more sense than what I'm actually going to spit out to you right now. But if you say, if you say, damn, that's a bad bitch, it sounds like, oh, okay, she looked good. She looked real good. But then if that same person was raised in a home with a great mom and she wasn't really called a bitch, or she was, or maybe she was, and she was like just a really respectable woman, but she sang the songs that use bad bitch. It's like now that young boy looks up to his mom, and is like, my mom's a bad bitch, and she didn't show her titties out and blah blah blah. She wouldn't look like it's a great song. Listen to it. Lupe Fiasco, Bad Bitch, good song. Listen to it. But it shows a very good dynamic. Like, just the way you use it is the difference. The way you understand it is the difference. But there are certain words that have different. Again, there are certain words that have more strength in what they mean. So nigger, nigga, odd. I don't. No matter what, I'm gonna cringe when I hear anyone say nigger unless it's in a time period piece. Nigga, I can usually relax. When white people just say it just to see if they can say it, I don't particularly like it. Now, don't get me wrong. I have laughed with friends who have been white and use the word nigga in a funny way. I can't deny it. I have given some the ability to. I have white people come to me and be like, yo, nigga, what's good? Nigga, what's good? Like, and I'm like, and every time I cringe because it's like, you're not using it. You're using it to differentiate yourself from using the word nigger, but it's literally just using nigger in a different way. That is not okay with me. And I'm going to start speaking more about it because, again, this is one of those things that's plagued me. I've only just recently found my clarity in what I feel like I should and how I feel about it, which is why I'm speaking with you now. Even before, like, I think up to about last night I was recording this, I was thinking on this topic and didn't have much clarity. And so I listened to something, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like a point of clarity where I said, no, it's how you use the words. It's not the words, it's how they are used. And I feel like that is a very big differentiator and a big thing that people should honestly know and pay attention to. So, my thoughts on nigger versus nigga. Nigger is just usually never good unless it's time period inappropriate. Very few people can use nigger in a entertainment positive value. Nigga can be used in a positive entertainment value, and I understand people using it. So, it's like, I understand people using it funnily, but you need to understand that you need to choose your words. I always say that with anything, but choose your words very wisely, because just saying the word isn't the same as using it. You need to use the word to be a tool of understanding. Don't just add it for comedic. It's like, don't just add. No, I'm sorry. Please add it for comedic. You can add it for comedic values. You can do something. If you can do something constructive, positive with it, I'm fine. No one bats an eye at black comedians using the word nigga because they're doing it with comedy and making it funny. But if you just say nigga on a train, we're going to look at you and be like, well, that motherfucker's racist. Because you probably are. You're probably just looking for an excuse to use the word nigger, but we don't want to use the word nigger because it's obviously racist. Felix, I'm sorry, but that was an obviously racist thing to say. It's obviously racist. I'm not saying that you are. Okay, I know. I am saying that you are slightly racist for using it. I'm not saying that because you're using it so fucking lackadaisically. You're putting yourself in that box where it's like, I'm using this word that's not racist, that's totally racist, but I'm not racist. Sorry, those two things don't have an equal sign. They don't work. It's not how that shit works. So then we come back to the issue of, and then we come back to my personal issues on words and how they should be used. How do I feel on using the word nigga and nigger in my own content? If you guys watch, I've used a lot of curse words. Fuck, shit, tits. I've even yelled out cunt a couple times. But, like, I don't usually use the word nigga. And it's been a personal thing that I don't want to make other people uncomfortable, because it's very easy to flub a joke. It's very easy to flub jokes. I do it all the time. I'm not a professional comedian. I'm not a professional entertainer, but I like to be a wordsmith, and I don't like using the word nigga for regular sentence. But you may be able to find a couple cases where I've used it even in my videos. I know I've used it on live streams every so often, but not super crazy. And it's not like I censor the word nigga ever. Like, if I say nigga, it stays in the video. But nigga, it's like, I don't use the word nigga lightly. I really don't. And that's mostly because there's other funnier phrases that I use, but also at the same time, nigga's not super funny. Well, one, it's not super funny, but then also it's just not, it doesn't add much. It's not very positive. Now, you could argue that no curse words are ever positive, but it's just not a positive thing. Like, I could call the different characters my nigga and be super black, but one, that's not who I am. I could be super black, I guess I can't find a better word right now. Like, very stereotypical, and use like, oh, my nigga, what's good, and walk around and blah blah blah. I could very well use the hood that's in me. As much as I don't show it, I live on the edge of the hood. I think I've said that in a previous Real Talk, but I live on the edge of the hood. I know, trust me, I have seen, it's like, I've seen some shit, bro. I'm not pure. The hood is in me, trust me. The hood is in me. I prefer not to use it because, well, that's a whole different Real Talk on why I don't act like most of the people around me. But nonetheless, it's just not an additive. Now, white people using nigga, I always cringe if they just throw it in for whatever the fuck reason. I will continue to. That's just how I will be. But I feel like if you're choosing your words, it's fine. But be sure that you're choosing it for the right reasons. Don't be using nigga just to use nigga. Like, don't be using nigger at all, really, unless it's time period appropriate and very carefully used in any other entertainment piece. Nigga's like just not very useful. I mean, nigger is not very useful. Sorry. Now I'm just getting confused between which two I'm saying. And nigger's not very useful to be used, and nigga is just not positive. So, for anyone who's, and when people are saying that Felix saying it is like, oh, just get over it's a word, let me throw this wrench into your argument. I've been black my whole life. Shocking. I've been black my whole life. It wasn't a choice. Like, it was not something that I had a choice in the matter. Like, my parents didn't have a choice in it. Their parents didn't have a choice in it. They just were. So, sorry to say. But, you know what is a choice? For someone to come up to my face, for someone to say over the internet just because they see that I am a black person and that they can say it, that they will just yell nigger and then run away. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm pretty sure everyone here has used a site like Omegle or some sort of chat room or anything of the sort where it's like you show, hey, this is me. I would like to talk to people. I've had many a times where people have come up to me, not just young kids either, like men. I've had men look me in the eyes and just yell nigger and then click the next button because they're anonymous and they know that I can't find them again unless I want to really become a hacker. Like, they yell, they look into their camera, make sure that they have the eye contact of me, and yell nigger 1, 2, maybe 3 times, and then skitter off. That's not okay. I'm sorry. There's no fucking reason to do that. Like, that makes me angry, and not in a irrational like I'm mad because this word. No, I'm mad because this bitch is gonna use the word on me. And no one else is going to know about the repercussions of the fact that they are an asshole. And possibly racist one at that. And when I say possibly racist, there are kids who are There was a kid who was recently hung by kids slightly older than him using racial slurs because he was biracial. I'd put money on it that one of those words was nigga/nigger. Like, that is when I say use your words carefully. Make sure that people understand the context and the weight behind these words. There is weight behind them. There is a serious weight behind some of these words. Nigger way more than nigga, but even nigga has some weight behind it. And that's when I'm saying, like, like, as much as people are like, like, racism doesn't exist anymore. No, it exists. People are dying because they're black. That's still a thing that's going on. Racism is still a thing. Until racism just straight up disappears, nigga is still a very powerful word. Nigger is even more powerful. It's like, in the Americas, don't act like this shit didn't just finish up. There is a timeline that you can go look at where just ending from slavery was 200 years ago. It's not, again, it was not that long ago. Like, it was not. People are like, oh, well, it was 200 years. Realize that, like, there are people who, like, my great-grandma was racially called a nigger still, and she's still alive. My great-grandma's still alive, but she remembers being racially called a nigger and not being able to sit in the same seats as a white person. That wasn't long ago. It's not. It's 100 years. My grandmother can still tell me physically, my great-grandmother, if I were to walk up to her and say, hey, tell me about your racial injustices, she could talk about how she was called a nigger in a negative way and was refused service because of the color of her skin. Racism doesn't just disappear. It didn't. We have Nazi rallies going on where people are still, like, talking about people aren't equal because they're Jewish and they're black and things of the sort. People wanted to lynch Obama and called him a nigger. That's not something that, it doesn't just go away. It's not just a word. We need to respect it. And this is where towards the end of it is always when I start to get amped up about the topic, and this is where I am. It has power. Don't act like it doesn't have power. I'm not being oversensitive. I love insensitive comedy. It's some of my favorite types, but at the same time, comedy is being tongue-in-cheek about a subject. It's not nigger, nigger, nigger. Okay, guys, now pay me $100,000 for being comedic. That's not comedy. You're a fuck. And again, being a wordsmith, I chose that word very, like, you're a fuck. That's not comedy. That's being a cuck and a cockhole. Like, that's not. There's a difference. So, you tried to find the most offensive thing you could find, Felix, and well, I guess you succeeded, but it wasn't entertaining. You've caused a big controversy, and of course you've made a bunch more issues with the DMCA takedown notice, like that whole shit. Even though you accepted it, that's an issue that you've started. And with all the other stuff behind you, Felix, I'm really like disappointed. I'm very disappointed. And that's saying something. It's not like I watched your videos religiously, but I respected your hustle and I respected what you did. And even the way you made your comedy for the past, I've been able to defend. And yes, you were good, but now you're starting to throw yourself down a bit of a hole. Some of the Nazi jokes were very distasteful, and you're not a professional comedian, and I get that, and that's what I gave you, that benefit of the doubt. But to just randomly come out with, not randomly because you used it very intently, to use the word nigger in a way like that, the only positive I got of you screaming the word nigger is that I can use your name in my thumbnail, tags, and such. And I don't really like mooching off of it, but that's part of what this is, and I'd love for people to give me their opinions. Of course, I'd love to know what you guys think about it. Of course, I know that people are going to say that I'm being too sensitive. There are going to be people who say that I'm being too uptight, that maybe something here contradicts itself, and I know that there might be some contradictory stuff in here, but if you think about it, life's not black and white. It's a lot of gray. And I'm just a nigga who thinks that, hey, maybe we should talk about the grays more. But, you know, that's just me. So, guys, I just clapped I just clapped into my mic, and that was a horrendous idea because I'm pretty sure I just peaked it. But you know, guys, this has been a real talk, and I'd love to know what you guys think on this subject. So please let me know what you think of the word nigger, nigga in the comments down below. Now, this is gonna be one of few times that that I'm gonna really allow it in my comments, because I don't appreciate it when people just kind of drop nigger and leave, because people do that. I've had that happen, by the way. That's, again, a thing that's happened. So this isn't like it's coming out of the random. People do it often, more often than I'd like to talk about. But I'd want to know what you guys think about this subject. And I know, Scott, you live in the UK. What are your thoughts on that subject? I'd love to know, anyone who's not from the US, what is your thoughts on it? And what do you think about PewDiePie saying it in a stream? Of course, I want to know what you think of that shit as well. So, nonetheless, guys, it's been Pergling, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out.